People tell you that nothing will change. There's no point. There's so much apathy. There's so much resignation. Nothing will change, no matter what you do. You know, and that's just not true. You know, the idea you get from the government, the idea you get from the IMF, the Troika, in the newspapers, day after day, people saying there is no alternative. There's no alternative to bailing out the banks. There's no alternative to austerity. We have to get the money from somewhere. They say again and again, and as the last two speakers have said, those bank debts, those are not our debts. We do not have to pay for that. That's 60 billion of savings. Imagine what we could do with 60 billion. That's enough to fund the state for almost for an entire year. A free year. You know? There are alternatives. There are alternatives like taxing wealth. Not property, but wealth. You know? There are people in this country who have 200 billion of assets in the bank. You can tax that. You can pay for services in this way. Anyway, what I want to talk about in particular is the Fiscal Treaty. I want to explain the Fiscal Treaty, if I can, in 2 minutes. Okay? It works like this. The elected leaders in Europe got together to put together rules that every country would have to follow in making its budget, year after year after year. And those rules would be there in the Constitution, so that you cannot change them, you cannot do anything about it. You must follow the rules, and here are the rules. The first rule is austerity. You must balance your budget every year. You cannot borrow money to spend on things that people need, like schools, like infrastructure. Think about the great Ardnacrusha hydroelectric dam. In 1927, the government went out and they borrowed money to build something for the good of the nation. That's what governments are for. To build infrastructure, to build schools, to build universities, to build a good country for people. And the other good thing about that is not only is it good for people, but it employs people. So basically they have made acting in the public good illegal. Now we are lucky people because we are the only people in Europe who get to vote on this treaty. So can I ask you something? Go home, talk to your neighbours, get a leaflet together, go out onto the street, ask everybody to vote down this treaty. We have more or less one last chance to vote this thing down. One last chance to turn it around. You know? So if we can do that, then we can do something for Ireland, we can do something for the rest of Europe, where nobody is getting the choice. All over Europe there are people who do not want this treaty to pass, but they haven't got a referendum. So I think we owe it even to them, to give them the choice. Next thing about the treaty is it requires debt reduction, year after year after year. They say that, you know, this treaty will be good for us or something, or if we don't get it, we'll have no money. The treaty requires you reduce your debt every year, and for Ireland, it would be 1% of GDP, which would be almost 1 billion. So that's another billion just to be thrown away every year to pay off old debts. So that's more austerity, that's more cuts. That's what it's the recipe for, more austerity, more cuts. But the last thing that really I find very insulting about this treaty is that no longer is the budget to be set by politicians who are elected and who we can fire out after 5 years. The budget is more or less going to be set by bureaucrats. And bureaucrats, the EU Commission, they'll decide whether we're following the rules closely enough, and they'll fine us up to 100 million. If we get it wrong, they'll give us a fine. So if you're weak, they'll kick you while you're down. You know? So I think it's insulting in this way. But the last way in which it's insulting is that you don't have to follow the rules if the other European countries let you off. That's in the treaty, Articles 7 and 8. If the other countries say, oh, it's okay, we don't mind you didn't follow the rules, then they can let you off the fines. What does that sound like? That sounds basically like bullying. The Germans and the French, they'll let each other off. They'll let each other off, but will they let us off? I don't fucking think so. Sorry, excuse me. Anyway. We've got 6 weeks left. We've got 5 or 6 weeks left to turn this thing around. Most people who are voting yes because they're frightened, because they think that there's not going to be any money. It's not as if they're voting for something that's good for them. It's vote this or face the consequences. I think we can change their mind. And apart from that, almost half of people in Ireland don't have a clue what the thing is about. We don't know what it's about. You know what it's about now. It's about giving away power to bureaucrats who are unelected, and on top of that, that there will be right-wing policies forever. No more state spending. No more art na crusher. No investment in wind energy and wave energy and all these kind of things that we can do in this country. This is an underdeveloped country. We have poor road system. We have a poor railway system. We have the largest class sizes in Europe. We should be investing in people in this country, not throwing away the money on banks. I think we can change the minds of that 40% of people, or 50% of people. I hope we can change the minds today on the march in Mallow. I think they change minds every week in Ballyhane, Charleville when they go marching. I think we can turn this thing around. 6 weeks. Now's our chance. Don't lose heart now. Sometimes we feel that nobody is with us. This is our chance. Even if they aren't with us, now's our chance to turn it around. So please, the next 5 weeks, go out, campaign, change people's minds. We live in a democracy and we're about to give it away. We're about to give away democratic control over our budgets. Budgets, economics, has serious consequences for people's lives. We're about to give that away. Don't. Vote no. Thank you.